Hello, dear students. Welcome to the lecture 2 of Security of Information Systems 2020. Today, our topics are
Information security management and human factors for information security.
okay. So, corporate responsibilities, environment, and cyber security. Okay.
Security management levels.
So, what levels there are?
Its security operations.
IT security operations,
Information security management. Information security governance.
so what do we do?
Achieve enterprise objectives. Set enterprise objectives. Balance stakeholder value propositions.
Okay, so what is information security governance?
Information security governance is governance provides strategic direction, ensures objectives are achieved, manages risk appropriately, uses organizational resources responsibly, and monitors the success or failure of the enterprise security program.
So, is information security. This is written by IT Governance Institute.
Benefits of IT security governance.
So what benefits it has?
Protecting assets equals creating value. Trust from customers, partners, investors, own staff, reputation, brand, image, competitive advantage, prevention and reduction of losses, business continuity and resilience, in case of disasters and major incidents, increase shareholder value.
So protecting assets creates value. How? Like this. Let's read again.
Trust from customers, partners, investors, own staff.
It increases trust to your company. It increases your.
Reputation, brand, image.
It provides.
Competitive advantage.
It prevents.
Prevention and reduction of losses.
For example, recently a company in Turkey had a very hard time from a cyber attack. Their website was unavailable for many days. Their system, it was speculated that their system was ransomwared, and the ransomware hackers were requesting a lot of money. So this is a real issue.
Business continuity and resilience. In case of disasters and major incidents. Increase shareholder value. Goals of information security governance as defined by COBIT and ISACA.
So you may get more information from this link. Okay. And let's read.
1. Strategic alignment of security program. 2. Risk management. 3. Value delivery. 4. Resource management. 5. Performance measurement.
So these are the goals of information security governance defined by COVID and ISACA. Okay. So
Characteristics of good as governance.
okay, what are the characteristics?
Managed as a business-wide issue alignment of frameworks, policies and activities.
Let's read one by one.
Managed as a business-wide issue. Alignment of frameworks, policies and activities. Viewed as business requirement. Seen as essential for sustainable business operations. Leaders are informed. Visible leaders who understand risks and get regular reviews. Leaders take responsibility. Leaders set clear goals and priorities. Risk-based priorities. Tolerances to risk understood and established. Roles and responsibilities defined. Clear segregation of duties.
So these are the good characteristics of a good information security governance. Okay. Okay.
Information security management includes risk management and reporting, development and maintenance of security policies, documented goals, rules and practice for IS, planning and organization of the security activities, information security management system ISMS, information classification, integration of security procedures, standards and guidelines, deployment and maintenance of security controls, security education and training, disaster recovery and business continuity planning, coordination with top-level management.
So an information security management includes all of these. These are all important. There are information security management standards, which are ISO IEC 27K security standards.
ISO, IEC 27K Security Standards, ISO, International Standards Organization, ISO 27001, Information Security Management System ISMS, ISO 27002, Code of Practice for Information Security Controls plus many more. ISO, IEC standards cost money.
So in USA,
NIST, National Institute for Standards and Technology, Special Publications 800, cover similar topics as ISO 27K. NIST standards are free.
okay, so if you get these standards, they cost money to you, but you can also get USA NIST standards for free. Okay. And there is some evaluation of the standards.
Evolution of ISO 27001 and 27002 standards.
So of course the standards get updated frequently as the years passes and risks and the threats changes. You can get more information about this later. Okay. Okay. So there are family of standards and related standards, vocabulary, principles and guidelines, risk assessment techniques, overview and vocabulary, code of practice, requirements, risk management. You see, they have standardized everything it is necessary with codes. An IT security professional, an IT security governance would require to follow all of these code of practice, for example.
Conformity assessment, vocabulary and general principles. Conformity assessment. Guidelines for auditing management system.
You see, everything is standardized.
Requirements for bodies audit and certification. Guidelines for ISMS auditing. Guidance for auditors on controls, TR.
You see, business continuity, cyber security, network security, application security. incident management, digital evidence management, organizational economics, governance, implementation, guidance, measurements, application areas, intersector and interorganizational, telecommunications, 27,001 and 20,000 minus 1, financial services, cloud computing service, data protection control of public cloud computing service, process control system, health. You see, everything is necessary for information security. It is not just an easy task.
ISO IEC 27002, what is it? Code of Practice for Information Security Controls.
So this is code of practice. Let's read it.
ISO 27002 provides a checklist of general security controls to be considered implemented, used in organizations, contains 14 categories, control objectives of security controls. Each category contains a set of security controls. In total, the standard describes 113 generic security controls.
So if you follow all of these generic security controls, you get a decent amount of information security which can protect your assets, which can protect your millions of dollars losses. It totally depends on your company. Think as a big corporation or company when you think about information security. Information security is necessary from big corporations to the very small ones because all of them can be open to attacks, can face the hackers, ransomware, and such things.
Not all controls are relevant to every organization. Objective of ISO 27002 gives guidelines for information security management practices, including the selection, implementation, and management of controls taking into consideration the organization's information security risk environments.
Yes, this is also true. Uh, the rules may change or will change according to your company's structure and what does it do. Okay, 14 control objectives.
The 14 control objectives of ISO IEC 27002 to
Okay,
2013.
okay, let's see each one of them.
Information security policy. Security organization. Human resources security. Asset management. Access control. Cryptography. Physical and environmental security. Operations. Communications security. System ACQ, develop, and maintain.
This is system requirements and development and maintenance requirements.
Supplier relationships. Incident management. Business continuity. Compliance. Security controls.
Probably companies like Google, Facebook, and such big corporations are following all of these objectives and probably many more. Because otherwise they cannot continue operating without any security incidents, information loss, and such thing. For example, access control. Who can access to which data, which code block? Everything mentioned here is extremely important. Protect your brand, protect your company assets, to protect your uh, fame and such things.
ISO IEC 27001 to 2013. What is it? ISO 27001 specifies requirements for establishing, implementing, maintaining and continually improving an information security management system (ISMS) within the context of the organization.
So get, if you become an expert of ISO 27001, you probably can get a job with such easiness. Okay, and you see there is also a Turkey certificate. You see all these advertisements because it is worldwide. You see so many certificates, as you can see. Okay.
ISMS is a holistic approach to IS management, not an IT system. While the ISO 27002 Code of Practice defines a set of security goals and controls, ISO 27001 ISMS defines how to manage the implementation of security controls. Organizations can be certified against ISO 27001, but not against ISO 27002. ISO 27001 is to be used in conjunction with ISO 27002. IS management system cycle. IS management cycle as an interpretation of ISMS ISO 27001. The steps in the cycle can be performed in parallel. Good IS management requires that all steps are implemented by the organization.
So what are the steps? Planning, risk assessment, security controls, evaluation, reporting. So every one of these is necessary. They can be executed in parallel. You need to have all of these to have a information security management system. Okay.
CISSP 7th ed. IS program phases.
Okay. 1. Plan and organize. So we will see the program phases.
Establish management commitment and high level as policy, define roles and committees, assess threats, vulnerabilities and risk, identify and plan security solutions and controls.
So we first make a plan and organize what we need. Then we implement them.
Assign roles and responsibilities, develop specific IS policies and procedures, implement security solutions and controls.
Then, after implementation, we operate and maintain.
Execute security operations tasks, carry out internal and external audit, develop monitoring and metrics for security controls.
And finally, we monitor and evaluate.
Review audits, monitoring and metrics, assess goal accomplishment, identify areas for improvement, and integrate in Phase 1.
So as we plan, organize, implement, operate, and maintain, we find what we lack, we plan and organize again, and we implement and operate and maintain again. This is a cycle.
(20 CSC, Critical Security Controls, 20 Essential Security Controls).
When we open this link, okay, let's check the implementation archive. Okay, it requires some information. Let's just here.
Description of each control, why control is critical, how to implement controls, specific tasks, procedures and tools, advice on implementation, effectiveness metrics, automation metrics, how to automate effectiveness metrics, effectiveness tests, system entity relationship diagram, relevant architecture integration.
Okay, so here are the 20 critical controls. Let's read every one of them. And let's start from here.
Inventory of devices. Inventory of software.
So we check which devices we have. We check which software we have.
Security configuration for devices.
So we check the security configuration of devices. Then
Vulnerability assessment.
we determine how vulnerable each device or each inventory.
Malware defenses.
What defenses we have against malwares.
Application software security.
Which software security we have.
Wireless access control.
Okay, so who can access wireless and such?
Data recovery capability.
This is so important. Let's say your server has been deleted or crashed or something, and how soon you can recover your data or which date you can go back. Sorry about that. Okay. Security skills training. Which security skills your let's say staff have: network configuration, control of network ports and protocols, controlled administrative privileges, who have administrative privileges or such, boundary defense, monitoring of audit logs, who accesses the which system, need to know access control, account control, data protection, incident response, secure network engineering, and testing, and be complete. Okay.
Evaluation of the ISMs through security measurements. What is the effectiveness of a security control? You have to measure it to know it. Security measurements provide info about how well security controls work, basis for comparing effect of controls on risks, benchmark for assessing security investments.
You always hear that there are white hackers, or there are being hackathons and such things, or companies are paying for white hackers to find vulnerabilities. You see, they take such companies takes all the measurements and follow all the practices, and then they use these hackers or automated tools to find if any vulnerability is unpatched, if there is any risk, they do risk assessment. So you need to somehow evaluate your protection level. Okay.
Why do we care? Example. The CEO asks, is our network perimeter secure? Without metrics, well, we installed a firewall, so it must be.
So without metrics to evaluate our security, we just say yes, it should be good. We installed a firewall. Why it shouldn't be? However, with metrics,
Yes, our evidence tells us that we are. Look at our intrusion statistics before and after we completed that firewall project. It's down 80%. We are definitely more secure today than we were before.
so you would have something solid to know or check or compare that your system is how much secure now than before, or still how much unsecure. Okay.
Is measurement model ISO 27004? 1. Information needs about security controls, security processes, policy and awareness, compliance.
2.
Select data sources and collect relevant data logs from systems, questions to people, observations, data mining.
3.
Analyze data, manage raw data, sanitize data, categorize data, apply analytical model, basic right pointing arrow derived right pointing arrow indicator.
And 4.
Measurement results, discover new knowledge, identify new info needs, make decisions, present results.
So they are all in loops, in circle. You first check your system, evaluate it, collect data, evaluate it, and if you find some vulnerabilities, some risks, you take check this, you take the necessary actions and repeat the steps again. So with this way, you can always improve your security and improve your information uh, information systems management and such things. So there is planning, reporting, security controls, and evaluation, and sorry about this, risk assessment. Okay.
CMMI capability maturity model integration.
Sorry, yeah. Let's read it again.
CMMI capability maturity model integration. Considerable effort and time is required to reach each next level in the maturity model.
So first level is no security.
0. No security processes.
It is chaotic. Okay, and with each level we will become managed. 1.
1. Initial ad hoc processes.
2.
2. Repeatable but intuitive processes.
3.
3. Defined processes.
4.
4. Managed and measurable.
5.
5. Optimized, cultural.
If you can reach the top level, you have a managed model integration. Okay, let's see the levels.
CMM levels 1 to 3.
So what is CMM? Capability Maturity Model. Okay, CMM is
Capability maturity model.
okay. First,
Initial ad hoc plus processes are ad hoc and disorganized. Plus risks are considered on an ad hoc basis, but no formal processes exist.
so what does that mean? That means that we, let's say, buy a software and directly start using it, and perhaps take some security measurement on that software level and nothing else. Okay, 2, level 2.
Repeatable but intuitive plus processes follow a regular pattern. Plus emerging understanding of risk and the need for security.
Okay, we are still not very organized. We just follow a regular pattern. Let's say we check our software. Um, all of our software has new updates or something or such. 3, level 3.
Defined process plus processes are documented and communicated. Plus company-wide risk management. Plus awareness of security and security policy.
Okay, so we are getting to higher levels. You see, we process, we document and communicate to evaluate all of our processes, and we do company-wide risk management, and we have awareness of security and security policy, and level 4.
Managed and measurable plus processes are monitored and measured. Plus risks assessment standard procedures plus roles and responsibilities are assigned plus policies and standards are in place.
And the final level is
Plus security culture permeates organization plus organization-wide security processes are implemented, monitored and followed.
so if your company can get to level 5, it becomes a pretty secure with following all the instructions and codes of practices and such. Okay, so we can take as much as security checks for the software we use. However, there is still also a human factor in information security, which is usually the source of the hackings and such incidents. Because if you don't leave any uh, vulnerability in your security, it becomes 100% secure. However, the human factor can always break your system security. Okay.
The human factor in information security. Personnel integrity, making sure personnel do not become attackers.
Yes, so you should be able to 100% sure that your personnel, your staff will not attack your system, because an insider can always break your system, and there is always some risk and gain balance. Okay.
Personnel as defense, making sure personnel do not fall victim to social engineering attacks.
Yes, this is extremely common. They get to social engineering attacks, so their computer gets infected, and that computer connect to your internal network, and from there, your internal network can get hacked and such. You can find many stories about this. For example, let's make a search. Okay, let's read it from Kaspersky, which is one of the best antivirus.
Social engineering is a manipulation technique that exploits human error to gain private information, access, or valuables. In cybercrime, these human hacking scams tend to lure unsuspecting users into exposing data, spreading malware infections, or giving access to restricted systems.
Okay. You can find many information too. Everything we see on this course. Let's read it to get more idea.
34 InfoSec experts discuss how to prevent the most common social engineering attacks. Social engineering attacks are not only becoming more common against enterprises and SMBs, but they are also increasingly sophisticated. With hackers devising ever more clever methods for fooling employees and individuals into handing over valuable company data, enterprises must use due diligence in an effort to stay 2 steps ahead of cyber criminals.
So what is SMB? SMB is a okay, probably this one.
Social engineering attacks typically involve some form of psychological manipulation, fooling otherwise unsuspecting users or employees into handing over confidential or sensitive data. Commonly, social engineering involves email or other communication that invokes urgency, fear, or similar emotions in the victim, leading the victim to promptly reveal sensitive information, click a malicious link, or open a malicious file. Because social engineering involves a human element, preventing these attacks can be tricky for enterprises.
Okay, you see everyone provided some examples. Let's read one of them. You may read more of them in home. I want to pick a good one. Okay, Facebook link scam, for example.
Facebook message link scam. Vin Diesel has just died. Find out that your PC will be pushing up the daisies with this link. This one is commonly used when a celebrity dies. This was exploited with Robin Williams when he passed away with the Robin Williams goodbye video. A bogus Facebook phishing message appeared that invited users to click a link and see an exclusive video of Robin Williams saying goodbye through his cell phone. Of course, there was no video, and the link led to a bogus BBC News page which tried to trick clickers into clicking on other links that led to scam online surveys.
Okay.
It was a two-stage attack, trying to get me to reveal my credentials. They spoofed our director of HR, and sent me the email below. This is an example of very high operational sophistication, typical of top-tier whaling attacks, those cases when an individual is subjected to spear phishing attempts because they hold valuable information or wield influence within an organization. They had done their homework and knew I was active on the Spiceworks forum for IT admins. I noticed that a user named SecurityBull72, claiming to be an employee, in a security forum posted some negative comments about the company in general, executive compensation mainly, and you in specific, overpaid and incompetent. He gave detailed instances on his disagreements, and doing so, may have unwittingly divulged confidential company information regarding pending transactions. The post generated quite a few replies, most of them agreeing with negative statements. While I understand that the employee has the right to his opinion, perhaps he should have vented his frustrations through appropriate channels before making this post. The link to the post is located here. It is the second one in the thread. 9 out of 10 would fall for something like this. The only thing that saved me was the fact that when I hovered over the link I saw that the domain was one I had created myself for simulated phishing attacks. But it was a close call. One more second and I would have been PNWNED.
So how did he understand that this was a phishing? When you hover a link, it shows at the left bottom of the screen the link. This always happens. You get an email, let's say it is from Facebook, it says. However, when you hover your mouse over the link, you see at the left bottom of your browser the link. For example, this one links is from info.digitalguardian.com, so it is authentic. You can also right click on the link and click inspect from the Chrome, and it will show you the linking. Okay, for example, the target is here. You see, this is the link. And recently, there was a Twitter hacking, and there were thousands of tweets from famous accounts. Okay. So this is a real attack recently happened. It was social engineering attack. Let me show you the incident. Method of the attack. Okay.
As Twitter was working to resolve the situation on July 15, Vice was contacted by at least 4 individuals claiming to be part of the scam and presented the website with screenshots showing that they had been able to gain access to a Twitter administrative tool, also known as an agent tool, 34, that allowed them to change various account-level settings of some of the compromised accounts, including confirmation emails for the account. This allowed them to set email addresses which any other user with access to that email account could initiate a password reset and post the tweets. 14. These hackers told Vice that they had paid insiders at Twitter to get access to the administrative tool to be able to pull this off.
Okay.
3.
So this was the claim. However, what was the real reason? Uh, okay, here.
By the end of July 17, 2020, Twitter affirmed what had been learned from these media sources, stating that the attackers successfully manipulated a small number of employees and used their credentials to access Twitter's internal systems, including getting through our two-factor protections. As of now, we know that they access tools only available to our internal support teams. 34. Twitter had been able to further confirm by July 30 that the method used was what they called a phone spear phishing attack. They initially used social engineering to breach the credentials of lower-level Twitter employees who did not have access to the admin tools, and then using those employee accounts, engaged in additional social engineering attacks to get the credentials to the admin tools from employees who did have authorization for their use. 39.
So you see, it is a real hacking happened in 2020. Twitter probably have perfect software engineering, software level protection to do any kind of hacking attempts. But when it is human factor, you can't prevent hacking with just software level protection. When human is involved, you have to train your employees, your staff. Okay. So this is human factor in information security, and this is the real event happened. For example, you see this was posted from Apple official Twitter account. We are giving back to our community. We support Bitcoin and we believe you should too. All Bitcoin sent to our address below will be sent back to you doubled. You see? And even very famous accounts had tweeted this. So people spent a lot of money to these scamming Bitcoin addresses. Right.
Personnel integrity preventing employees from becoming attackers. Consider employees, executives, customers, visitors, contractors, and consultants. All these groups obtain some form of access privileges. How to make sure privileges are not abused. Personnel crime statistics organizations report that a large proportion of computer crimes originate from inside.
Why is that? Because if you have good software engineers to build your software products, then you would have a pretty good defense from software perspective. However, if an attacker is from inside, no protection can prevent them. So this is a really important factor in information security.
28% had insider attacks, 32% very concerned about insider threats. Australian statistics, CERT Australia, 2015. 14% had insider attacks, 60% very concerned about insider threats. Strengthening employee integrity. Difficult to determine long-term integrity of staff at hiring. Integrity can change. Influenced by events, all personnel should follow security awareness training, reminders about security policy and warnings about consequences of intentional breach of policy will strengthen power of judgment. Personnel in highly trusted positions must be supported, trained and monitored. Support and monitor employees in difficult situations, conflict, loss of job, personal problems. Stay on good terms with staff leaving the company.
So you see, everything is important when it comes to your personal. You need to make sure that they are in good shape, in good mind.
Personnel departure. Different reasons for departure: voluntary, redundancy, termination, different types of actions. Former employee may keep some privileges, revoke all privileges, escort to the exit. During exit interview, terms of original employment agreement reviewed, i.e. non-compete, wrongful disclosure, etc. Social engineering attacks where people are the defense. According to Kevin Mitnick, the biggest threat to the security of a company is not a computer virus, an unpatched hole in a program, or a badly installed firewall. In fact, the biggest threat could be you. What I found personally to be true was that it's easier to manipulate people rather than technology. Most of the time, organizations overlook that human element.
So who is Kevin Mitnick, if you ask?
Kevin David Mitnick, born August 6, 1963, is an American computer security consultant, author, and convicted hacker. He is best known for his high-profile 1995 arrest and 5 years in prison for various computer and communications-related crimes. 6.
Let's read his hacking.
At age 12, Mitnick used social engineering and dumpster diving, 15, to bypass the punch card system used in the Los Angeles bus system. After he convinced a bus driver to tell him where he could buy his own ticket punch for a school project, he was able to ride any bus in the greater LA area using unused transfer slips he found in a dumpster next to the bus company garage. Social engineering later became his primary method of obtaining information, including usernames and passwords and modem phone numbers. 16. Mitnick first gained unauthorized access to a computer network in 1979, at 16, when a friend gave him the phone number for the ARC, the computer system that Digital Equipment Corporation (DEC) used for developing its RSTS-E operating system software. 17. He broke into DEC's computer network and copied the company's software, a crime for which he was charged and convicted in 1988. He was sentenced to 12 months in prison followed by 3 years of supervised release. Near the end of his supervised release, Mitnick hacked into Pacific Bell voicemail computers. After a warrant was issued for his arrest, Mitnick fled, becoming a fugitive for 2.5 years. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Mitnick gained unauthorized access to dozens of computer networks while he was a fugitive. He used cloned cellular phones to hide his location and, among other things, copied valuable proprietary software from some of the country's largest cellular telephone and computer companies. Mitnick also intercepted and stole computer passwords, altered computer networks, and broke into and read private emails.
Okay, you can read his history more on Wikipedia. So you see, according to Kevin Mitnick, the biggest threat is the human factor. Okay, Social engineering tactics. Okay.
SE tactics. Develop trust. People are naturally helpful and trusting. Ask during seemingly innocent conversations. Slowly ask for increasingly important information. Learn company lingo, names of key personnel, names of servers and applications. Cause a problem and subsequently offer your help to fix it, aka reverse social engineering. Talk negatively about common enemy. Talk positively about common hero. SE tactics. Induce strong affect. Heightened emotional state makes victim less alert, less likely to analyze deceptive arguments, triggered by attacker by creating excitement, you have won a prize, fear, you will lose your job, confusion, contradictory statements. SE tactics. Information overload. Reduced the target's ability to scrutinize arguments proposed by the attacker, triggered by providing large amounts of information to produce sensory overload, providing arguments from an unexpected angle, which forces the victim to analyze the situation from new perspective, which requires additional mental processing. SE tactics. Reciprocation exploits our tendency to return a favor, even if the first favor was not requested, even if the return favor is more valuable. Double disagreement. If the attacker creates a double disagreement and gives in on one, the victim will have a tendency to give in on the other. Expectation. If the victim is requested to give the first favor, he will believe that the attacker becomes a future ally. SE tactics. Diffusion of responsibility and moral duty. Make the target feel that he or she will not be held responsible for actions. Make the target feel that satisfying attacker's request is a moral duty. SE tactics. Authority. People are conditioned to obey authority. Milgram and other experiments considered rude to even challenge the veracity of authority claim, triggered by faking credentials, faking to be a director or superior, skillful acting, con artist.
So these are all social engineering tactics that may be used against your company.
SE tactics. Commitment creep. People have a tendency to follow commitments, even when recognizing that it might be unwise. It's often a matter of showing personal consistency and integrity, triggered e.g. by creating a situation where one commitment naturally or logically follows another. First request is harmless, second request causes the damage. Multi-level defense against social engineering attacks.
So how can we defend? Offensive level, incident response, gotcha level, social engineering detectors, persistence level, ongoing reminders, fortress level, resistance training for key personnel, awareness level, security awareness training for all staff, foundation level, security policy to address social engineering attacks. So offensive level is the lowest level. You just respond to an incident after it happened. Gotcha level, social engineering detectors. You have detectors to detect social engineering happening or not. Persistence level, ongoing reminders. You continually remind staff. Fortress level, resistance training for key personnel. It is like if you have watched Inception movie, there were there were a training for let's say uh, there were a training for whether your dreams are being intercepted by other people or not. This is something like that. An awareness level, you make an awareness of social engineering to your old staff, and you have a policy to address social engineering attacks. This is the foundation level. Okay, there is also source.
SE Defense Foundation. The security policy must address SE attacks. Policy is always the foundation of information security. Address e.g., shredding, escorting, authority obedience, band practice that is similar to social attack patterns. Asking for passwords over phone is a typical SE attack method. Right pointing arrow. Therefore never provide passwords over the phone. Calling a user and pretending to represent IT department is a typical SE attack. Right pointing arrow. Therefore never call user, or make it possible, mandatory for user to authenticate the IT department, calling IT dep. And pretending to be user is a typical SE attack. Right pointing arrow. Therefore make it possible, mandatory for IT department to authenticate the user.
So you probably saw in your life that never share your password to any personal. This is usually a reminder from banks. Banks usually say that never share your password from over telephone or credit card over telephone and such. This is a policy. Why? Because this policy prevents hackers to access that information in similar way. Okay. So if you have policies like this, you can reduce the chance of getting attacked by social engineering. So policy is the foundation and awareness.
SE Defense, Awareness, Security Awareness Training for all staff, understanding SE tactics, learn to recognize SE attacks, know when to say no, know what is sensitive, understand their responsibility, understand the danger of casual conversation, friends are not always friends, passwords are personal, uniforms are cheap, awareness of policy shall make personnel feel that the only choice is to resist SE attempts.
So you see, increasing awareness of your own stuff would provide you the one of the biggest defense. Because if your personnel has awareness of social engineering attacks, they can be vigilant to such attacks always. Okay, this is one of the best way. And the fortress level.
SE Defense, Fortress, Resistance Training for Key Personnel, Consider, Reception, Help Desk, Size, Admin, Customer Service, Fortress Training Techniques, Inoculation, Expose to SE Arguments, and Learn Counter-Arguments, Forewarning, of Content and Intent, Reality Check, Realizing Own Vulnerability.
This is system admin. Okay, and persistent. So these are the levels we have seen here. You see, we have started from foundation level, awareness level, fortress level, and persistence level. Right now,
SE Defense, Persistence, Ongoing Reminders. SE Resistance will quickly diminish after a training session. Repeated training reminding staff of SE dangers, posters, messages, tests.
so you just don't leave the personnel alone after you just gave them a training course. You have to continually remind them that they are subject to social engineering attacks always. Okay.
SE Defense, Gotcha, Social Engineering Detectors, Filters and Traps designed to expose SE attackers. Consider, the justified know-it-all, person who knows everybody, centralized log of suspicious events, can help discover SE patterns, callbacks mandatory by policy, key questions, e.g. personal details, please hold, mandatory by policy, time to think and log event, deception, bogus question, login plus password of alarm account on yellow sticker.
So you see, you can put filters and traps to design and expose SE attackers. So a social engineering attack may trigger your defensive system, and you can get aware of him uh, before they reach to your personnel, and uh, you can log every suspicious event, callback mandatory by policy, key questions, and etc. Such things. And the offensive.
SE defense, offensive, incident response, well-defined process for reporting and reacting to possible SE attack events. Cases of successful SE attacks, reaction should be vigilant and aggressive, go after SE attacker, proactively warn other potential victims.
So if your company is going strongly against the social engineering attackers, the attackers would likely to be afraid of attacking you if you have such reputation.
Security awareness training, backup and protection of work-related information, passwords, email and web hygiene and acceptable use, recognizing social engineers, recognizing and reporting security incidents, responsibilities and duties for security, consequences of negligence or misbehavior, security principles for system and business processes.
Alright, security usability. Oh.
Kirchhoff's 1883, the father of security usability. Auguste Kirchhoff's La cryptographie militaire. Journal des Sciences Militaires, X 38, 5-38, 1883, most famous for don't do security by obscurity, also defined security usability principles. It must be easy to communicate and remember the keys without requiring written notes. It must also be easy to change or modify the keys with different participants. Finally, regarding the circumstances in which such a system is applied, it must be easy to use and must neither require stress of mind nor the knowledge of a long series of rules.
Okay.
Security learning. Good metaphors are important for learning. Many security concepts do not have intuitive metaphors. Better avoid metaphors than use bad ones. Define new security concepts and give them semantic content. Security learning design. Design systems to facilitate good security learning, largely unexplored field. Stages of security learning. Security is often more complicated than you think. Unaware and disinterested. I don't understand it, and I don't want to know about it. Why can't security simply be transparent? Educated and optimistic. I understand it now, it's simple, and I know how to operate it. Expert and disillusioned. This is far more complex than I first thought. I actually don't think this can ever be made secure. Remarks on security usability. Security usability is difficult to get right, not the same as IT usability. Security can never be made 100% transparent. Security learning is needed, but a challenge. Security decisions often made without basis. Better support for security decisions is needed. Knowledge about security usability is available. User-friendly security can be designed.
Okay, end of the lecture. So you can look for social engineering attacks and other things that might be interesting to you in this lecture. Hopefully see you next week. I am going to upload this to the our GitHub repository right now. Also, I see that some of our students are making very basic commands, and if you make such a simplistic comment, that you will not be counted as course attended. You have to make a comprehensive and a detailed comment about that particular lecture to our YouTube videos. Okay, so on GitHub, let's see, our lecture is uploaded. Okay, it is updated, and lecture slides, okay, it is arrived. There is both PDF and PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, hopefully see you next week.